The first gymnasiums were thought to date back to ancient Persia, but the word gymnasium is derived from the ancient Greek word meaning to exercise naked. What could be better than exercising nude in the privacy of your very own luxury home gym? Your every strength and fitness need catered for, as you sculpt your breathtakingly buff beach body. At the beginning of the 20th century, the first garage was built, derived from the French word, gare, meaning to park. Then, in the early 21st century, a bald British bloke would create the ultimate garage gymnasium. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be amazed.
Behold the magnificence of my home gym, garage. I've had weights in here for quite a few years, but it was during COVID that I started training regularly as part of my weight loss journey. It's a good part of the strategy because lifting weights increases your metabolism, which is always going to be a good thing, as well as burning calories when you're doing it. During COVID, I had most of this. I think I've added since, because buying weights during COVID was very difficult. It's like finding hen's teeth. So what I'm going to do today is show you the equipment that I have and how to use it to the max. Also, I've just come back from Belgium on holiday. I put on a little bit of weight, so I should be getting back into my routine, which I have already, to be honest. So without further ado, I said I wasn't going to say that. Let's get it on. Marvin Gaye. You're now looking at the corner of my garage where there is my witch mascot and some rather large cobwebs. My friend in Poland says, "Oh, but what about gym girls? In the gym you have gym girls." Well, who needs gym girls when you have a witch, some spiders, and the occasional small rodent to train with? Okay, let's begin with a few practicalities. Here I have my lamp, which I definitely need because in winter it's pitch black at 6 in the morning, which is when I usually come in. And then if I swing around here, I have my, get closer, I have my sound system. Here you go, real music. None of this wishy-washy techno malarkey. Got a friend in Poland, he says, "Oh, but what about your earbuds?" Earbuds, schmearbuds. I mean, what even are earbuds? Sound like some sort of medical condition. Then I've got my gloves, which I definitely need because in winter it can get to sub-zero in here and you don't want to be lifting ice cold metal if you can help it. And what about air conditioning? Says Wukash. Who needs air conditioning? Real men harness the power of the elements when they're training, okay? So my training regime goes something like this. I train about 3 times a week, having a training day, then a recovery day, training day, then maybe 2 recovery days. The recovery days being just as important as the actual training days. I have what I call a push day and a pull day, and I typically train for about 30 to 40 minutes. You don't actually need to train as long as you think you do. People think you need to train for hours on end. You don't. Well, maybe if you're Daniel Craig doing Casino Royale, you do, to build those big shoulders. But my goal is for functional strength and to help keep in shape. So I'm going to demonstrate my push day first. I'm going to start with the deadlift, which isn't a push exercise at all, it's a pull exercise, but I like to do it as the opening exercise of my push day. So I'm going to demonstrate deadlift. Well, actually it's called a Romanian deadlift, I believe. And it's something like this. You put your legs, start your toes just under the bar, your feet shoulder length apart, lean forward, keeping your back straight, and you pull up. And I lower not quite to the floor, because this is a Romanian one. What you do is you thrust your hips forward. You pick up the mic again. Highly recommend deadlifting. It's probably the queen of exercises. one of the best ones you can do. It's a compound exercise. It does loads of muscles. It does the entire back, does your bum, does your quads to some degree, and it also does your abs. So you really need to include deadlifting if you're going to start training in the gym or in your garage or wherever. A good target to aim for would be maybe trying to lift your own body weight. I'm about somewhere between 76 and 80 kilograms. I'm probably near the top at the moment. So what I normally do is I go for about 80 kilograms, and then I probably do about 10 to 15, probably about 15 at that weight. But deadlifting your own body weight, even once, is a good target to aim for when you're a starter. Okay, before I continue talking about my push routine, I'd like to talk about my routine in general on training days. So, like I said before, I generally train about 6 or a bit later if I'm going to the gym, which means I get up probably about 5:20, 5:15 in the morning, and then I typically have some coffee with milk and sugar, which I very much look forward to, and it helps me get out of bed on cold mornings to go and train. Routine is all. And then what you need to do before you start training is to warm up, of course. So that involves stretching and rotating the joints, touching the toes, etc., just so you don't injure yourself when training. And then my push routine usually involves me using these push-up handles to do push-ups or press push-ups as the first element of my push routine. I'll probably do about 40 or so, and then what I do then is I lift these dumbbells, or I do chest pushes, and I lie back on the board here when I'm doing it. And I'm probably going to do about 22 to 24 with, I guess, about 22 kilograms. And I'm going to do 2 sets of those. And it's important that when you train, you do it till failure in order to get maximum benefit. Then I'm going to swing the camera around, make sure you can see it. And then the final element, well, not the actual final thing I'm going to do, but the next element is doing the tricep. So what I do is I do these tricep pull downs. Again, I'm probably going to do maybe 3, perhaps 4 sets. I used to use this thing and hoist it over my head, but I'm getting way too old to be doing that, so I invested in this. It's a brilliant investment. And what you do, you start with a slightly lighter load to warm up, and then you add more and more weights as you go through the sets. And then in the final set, what I'm going to do is something called a drop set. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift the weights until failure, then I'm going to remove 1 or 2 of the weights. I'm going to keep going till failure, then I might remove more, and then I keep going until I completely failed and I'm exhausted. And by doing that, you get maximum bang for the buck. So if you're training for 35 minutes, say, you're going to really stress your muscles in a short amount of time. I also do something called a superset. So for example, once I've done, say, 2 sets of deadlifts, then I might do the push-ups, and then before I do the final set of deadlifts. So it's saving time, and you're exercising muscles in a different group. So that's some of the principles I do, and they're really powerful. So the final exercise that I do, this is not extended properly. There you go, it's better. So the final exercise I do on any training day is I do sit-ups. So I normally put a towel on the top, and then I do some angled sit-ups and crunches just to work the abs, and there's a little bit of cardio to it because it can make you a little bit out of breath. Following the workout, then I typically go and have a protein shake, which I make with protein powder with half milk and half water. I like the taste of the milk, and it adds some amino acids which is beneficial to muscle recovery. And the idea that there's this thing called an anabolic window, which is about 45 minutes to 1 hour after training, when it's recommended that you take a protein shake to be absorbed by your muscles. However, some people believe that to be a load of old bunkum and don't believe in it at all, but I'm just going to sit on the fence and have a protein shake anyway, and maybe a little bit of creatine, which is another topic altogether. Right, so after I've had a rest day or two, then I go into my pull day routine. So again, I'm going to warm up and stretch, etc. And then the first exercise I'm going to do is called bent over rowing. And I'm going to use pretty much a similar setup to when I do deadlifting, though I'm going to start light. That's pretty much it. It's a good compound exercise. It's going to really do your back and also your biceps to some degree. And it pretty much does all of your back. So if you want a big, strong back, this is an exercise you should be doing, and it's very, how do you put it, efficient, because it uses so many muscles. Not quite as many as deadlift. And then after that, I'm going to drop the weights off the bar, and I'm going to do bicep curls, because biceps are used in pulling motions, and so you're going to do bicep curls, or I certainly do, on pull days. And again, I'm going to start lighter, probably do them until I can do about 8 to 12 before failure, and then I'm going to do drop sets again. So I'm going to do 3 sets in total, and the last one will be a drop set in order to get maximum bang for buck. And then after that, I'm going to do sit-ups once again. So it's probably a quicker day than the other day, and I can normally do this within 30 minutes. So remember, when you're training, there's a principle known as progressive overload, which is kind of obvious in that over time, as you get stronger, you increase the weights, which in turn allows you to lift heavier weights and do more repetitions. Be patient and work to it fairly slowly. You don't want to injure yourself. The other things I want to talk about again is supersets. So do exercises which do opposing or different muscle groups between each set, because that way you can shorten your workout time. Also, you should be doing maybe 3 to 4 sets. I typically do about 3, but the last set quite often is a drop set. So what I do is I do the 8 to 12 repetitions until muscle failure. Then I remove weights and I try and eke out 2 or 3 more, and then I drop again and try to eke out 2 or 3 more. And also there's these things in front of you, the colourful things. I was going to call them stretch marks, or stretch bands, or stress bands. And they're kind of useful if you want to train in your home. There's YouTube videos about how to use them, and I typically take them on holiday with me. Don't think there's much more to say on this topic, so I'm going to lift the camera and say cheerio. Take it easy.